Oh, new school comic book reviews. Okay, so got a few things here. First one is DC Bombshells #1, written by Marjorie Bennett, and the art is by Marjorie Savage. Um, Basically, the story here is kind of a alternative universe or alternative history, where it's the early days of World War II, and all the men are off fighting. So the main superheroes end up being women, and here we're kind of introduced to everyone. Uh, you know, right before they start. Oh, look, this is funny. I always like fake ads. Sorry. Anyway, we're kind of introduced to everyone right before they, um, take on their heroic personas. And basically, these characters are, if you know your DC comics, are going to turn out to be Batwoman, Wonder Woman, and Supergirl. Okay, and I guess the whole idea for the comic came from there are the variant covers that were based on some of the statues where the DC characters are kind of dressed and posed like old pinup girls, old style pinup girls, and things like that. I've got to say that I actually enjoyed a lot of the variants that I saw, and I think it's very interesting that in a time when people are actually worried about over sexualization and things like that, and things being really porny and stuff. It's actually interesting how DC actually got a really good response from a lot of the variant covers, and a lot of them have been for women. I think it's also been pretty ironic that without getting on a big soap opera or whatever, that people have pointed out that a few of the characters, even though it's a pin-up, mock pin-up stuff, are actually wearing more clothes than their normal suits. But then again, it goes back to the idea that whenever these controversies occur, it's not always about people trying to stamp out sex or try to take away sexy girls or cute girls. I think it's just there's a way you could do it and keep it in good taste and whatnot. But anyway, back to the comic book. Yeah, I liked it. It was a pretty solid issue, really well written. Like I said, you kind of get introduced to the main characters and the world they live in, and the story was well paced, and I like the art. Again, cute girls without making everything look porny or whatever. And so yeah, I thought it was pretty good. Also have Injection #4, written by Warren Ellis, art by Declan Shalvey. Basically, it kind of concerns these people who used to work together in some sort of think tank organization, and everybody's got a different field of expertise having to do with either science and magic and computers and things like that, and they have to get back together because something, and it's hard for me to explain or whatever, is starting to bleed over into the normal universe, and it's something they've encountered before, even though it it has something to do with magic and gnomes and fairies and trolls and things like that, and yeah, and like I said, it's years later, and they have to more or less get the band back together to kind of deal with it. And yeah, it's a really solid. It's not. It doesn't blow me away, but it's a pretty solidly written issue. The art's okay. It's functional. Again, not super great, but I did like it. I really enjoyed it. I'm kind of interested in what the mystery is and how things are going to unfold. Just to go on a weird tangent, you know what I think? I think DC really missed out by not having Warren Ellis write a revamp of like the Doom Patrol. Just because he's a guy who obviously has an interest in science fiction, as well as having an interest in like the occult and all these kind of wonky, strange ideas. And I think I think it's something that I really would enjoy reading if Warren Ellis ever did like a revamp of like the Doom Patrol. I'd totally be on board. Okay, other things I got Starfire number 3, fun, lighthearted. It's written by Amanda Connor, Jimmy Palmiotti, and the art is by, I'm going to say her name wrong, Emanuela Lupacino, and the inks are by Ray McCartney. Just really nice, clean, fun, lovely looking art. The story's not super great. It's just kind of okay. If you don't go in there expecting too much, you'll probably have a good time. Um, some kind of corny fish out of water humor and stuff like that. But I'm probably going to give it a couple more issues. But I may drop it, not because it's bad, but just because it's just sort of okay. You know what I mean? It's not super gripping. It's just kind of when people call certain movies or TV shows, enjoyable time wasters. That's kind of how I feel about this comic book. It's a totally competent comic book, but it doesn't make me go, gotta get that next issue. You know what I mean? Other things I got and haven't read yet: Velvet number 11 by Ed Brubaker and Steve Epting. This is the start of a new arc. Uh, I'm totally on board with Brubaker. I think he's been killing it. Sabrina number 4. I might have mentioned this in another video. I'm just shocked at how much I really enjoy this comic book. It just really kills me about how they're totally playing it straight. And and Sabrina in particular, this comic book feels like, I don't know, kind of a combination of like maybe those old, Hammer horror movies from like the late '60s, or maybe some '60s, '70s Italian horror movies. It just has that weird atmosphere, that strange vibe to it. You know what I mean? And the fact that I think it's supposed to be set in like the mid '60s or whatever just kind of adds to the whole creepiness and everything. So yeah, I also got James Patterson's Max Ride First Flight. I think this is the last issue of the miniseries. I thought it was okay. It's not super great. I really do like the art, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure how the story, as far as being an adaptation, really holds up. You know what I mean? It's hard for me to put in words. I just think it's the stuff that they got into the novel. I didn't read the novel, but it feels like things are missing. It feels like they had to cut chunks out or something to make it fit into a comic book or whatever. But I don't know. I actually hope it does well for Marvel, and I hope they take more steps to diversify their lineup as far as to putting out different types of comics and things like that. Okay, that's it. I got to thank you very much for listening, and you have a good day.